What up, everybody? Hey, it's been a minute. You know who I am, FrankisGrim480. That's my username for my YouTube channel. It's Frank Rogers. Decided to do a quick hangout, man. I've been having a lot of issues lately where I've kind of stopped doing the Google Hangouts for a minute. A lot of other things going on in life that's kept me distracted. Good things and bad. I got a 3-year-old and 8-month-old baby that keeps me plenty busy during the day. Makes it kind of difficult to sit down and be like, hey, I'm going to host a hangout here for a little bit and hopefully be able to interact without being broken up. And to tell you the truth, I probably will be interrupted plenty of times during this. I'm going to keep it short and sweet and just for the sake of getting it done. You know what I mean? This is Breaking Borders. This is live. If you are watching, if anybody decides to watch, please feel free to join. I think you can do so on Google Plus or through the YouTube app on my channel. You should be able to ask questions, interact with me there in case you can't make the Google thing work out. I don't expect a whole lot because most of the time in the past, the turnout is pretty small. There's the baby. A couple people, I'll have a couple people watching and stuff like that, but maybe occasionally have a couple people who can interact. Anyways, I'm getting off the point. So I'm just going to do this real quick. Like I said, this is a Google Hangout Live. I'm going to talk about a couple of topics that I found today. Unless somebody else joins me, and then we can have an in-depth conversation. This is kind of where I'm thinking I'm going to start doing, maybe a weekly or every other day thing where I find a couple of things of interest to me, and then I'll speak about it, share it, and try to engage in conversation with other people. So without further ado, let me go ahead and just pull up. Let me see here. Actually, I gotta enable my desktop sharing so I can show you some things while I'm speaking of it. It's been a while since I've done the screen share. Okay. Entire screen or Google Hangouts? I'm gonna give you the entire screen. I'm sure it's gonna look a little muddy there. And just for a split second, you might lose your power of sight because you might be ticking to a little dimension there when it goes window and window and window. Anyways, here. Let's start off with the first one, just because it's the first tab. It's about something I saw today. It was a picture, and the headline is, "Why the hell were riot police called in to destroy these houses for the homeless?" I guess this is based out of Denver, Colorado. I haven't done a whole lot of research in it. I read the article. This is like a link that I pay attention to. I'm into the homeless, sharing, helping, feeding, empowering, and treating homeless people like everybody else. Because guess what they are? The only difference between them and us is a very slim, thin line. And sometimes it's consequences, sometimes it's fate, sometimes it's whatever. An addiction, problems you just can't get rid of. So what are you going to do? You could be one too. Stop acting like you're better than them if you do, and pay attention. Anyways, this post was from freespeech.org, and, Free Speech TV is pretty good. There's a lot of stuff that I'm kind of questionable. I think there's a lot of people who post things here that are, to raise eyebrows and, conversate, not necessarily truth. When it comes to things like this, though, it's not that far off of the normal things that happen these days. So I don't think this is a false report. It was originally appearing on addictinginfo.org. That's another one of those sites that I like to watch. Of course, there's a lot of stuff from that place too that's like, it's probably not true. Anyways, so Saturday evening, Denver police broke up a settlement of homeless residents who live as part of a program through Denver Homeless Out Loud and the Denver Housing Authority-owned community garden. A DHOL built tiny house for each person to protect them against the elements. And Denver can get pretty cold during the winter, so a blanket isn't exactly going to do much help to people. Affordable housing is one of the hardest things the working poor must find in order to live. In some cities, it just isn't available. This is true. I am part of the working poor. I don't work. My wife works. We have one income. We have 4 children in our house. So, we are the working poor. We don't make much money at the time being because, like I said, we have one income. My wife works as a dental assistant. She makes decent money. But with the cost of living these days, you know what? You have to make a lot of money to not be considered part of the working poor. Anyway, so this is something that strikes to me because I consider my family a poor family. We're not rich by any means. We live two week paycheck period. You know what I'm saying? And we don't have any savings. Blah blah. Anyways, back to the story. We've been envisioning a tiny house village in Denver for years. Karen C. told the Denver Post. 10 people were arrested on Saturday at Sustainability Park after the organizers set up the tiny houses, but refused to disperse at the orders of the police. For the last 5 years, the land was part of an urban farmers collaborative, a project under the nonprofit organization called Greenleaf, which aims to teach youth to grow and harvest produce. All the crops are then sold in local neighborhoods in the city that are considered food deserts. I always mess up on words like that. Food deserts, or areas that don't have nearby access to a full grocery store that has fresh, unprocessed foods like fruits and vegetables. Apparently now, the Denver Housing Authority plans to sell land which has sat unused by the DHA for 15 years. Activists are understandably disappointed. They named the small village of tiny homes Resurrection Village after the similarly named tent city which Martin Luther King Jr.'s Poor People's Human Rights campaign built in Washington, D.C. to demand higher wages and access to decent housing. Let's quote, I guess. DHOL said in a press release. The group says they wanted to end the criminalization of homelessness in the city and continue the work doing urban farming. Continuing, in the afternoon, while constructing tiny homes on site, the group was visited by a representative of Denver Housing Authority as well as by the developer, said the DHOL. By 9 p.m., with a police helicopter circling overhead, the officers made the arrest, and Denver Public Works destroyed, threw into dump trucks, and carted away the homes that had been so badly needed by houseless people and so lovingly constructed by those who lived there and the supporters. Before I go any further, I'm not sure what in the hell would strike. I mean, I understand from the greedy, power-hungry point of view why they would do something like this, but what in the hell kind of government or people-oriented operation goes and takes from the people shit that helps the people? This is the time that we live in these days where everything is fucking backwards. You know what I'm saying? People get rewarded for being sadistic. People get applauded for killing unarmed men. And politicians are elected president. Not yet, but probably. For being lying, manipulative, fucking losers. So this is the time that we live in, where everything bad is accepted and everything good is treated as evil. It's ridiculous. Anyways, continuing with the report. Many low-income housing units are being torn down in Denver, which is one of the 20 fastest-growing cities in the United States, according to Forbes. Affordable housing isn't easy. In fact, it is one of the greatest struggles for the working poor. The greatest struggles the working poor faces. This is true. Like, you work, you need a place to live. You need a place to lay down, fix meals. House your family from the elements. You have a job. Unfortunately, housing is not affordable most times. Like, I'm right now in the process of moving. We're downgrading. We're splitting up a household. We're sharing a huge house with in-laws, and we've decided, we're going to break off. We're going to branch off. Me and my wife and our kids are going to do our thing, and we're going to have a one-family house. Unfortunately, to do this, we're splitting our incomes in half, and therefore our rent availability to pay for is cut in half for the time being until I'm given a situation where I can work and still do the things that I have to do. So finding a house to rent within a certain income is freaking difficult as hell. You start at the bottom and you look through what's quote unquote considered horrible places to live, the ghettos, the inner city, this and that, and you try to avoid those places because that's why they get a bad name, because stuff happens there. I know. I've lived there. I'm not too proud to say I wouldn't live there again. I'm just, you don't want to live there. I've been living in the rural area. It's kind of farming. It's unincorporated city in Arizona where there's houses and there's a Walmart. You know what I mean? Like, there's not much else around. There's a couple grocery stores, gas stations, and just surrounded by desert and farm. You know what I mean? These are pretty affordable houses, huge houses, right? So, I digress. I don't know where I was going with that. Anyways, Housing is hard to find. Thankfully, back to the report, thankfully, activists aren't deterred. They plan to continue fighting the affordable housing crisis in Denver and help the working poor achieve safer and more stable housing solutions. Here's hoping Denver can find its compassion to help those without homes instead of continuing to price people out. So I get, basically there's not a whole lot of information in this article about why, maybe it's because they were trying to set up on land that, the DHA, the Denver Housing Authority, didn't want them to do. It's housing authority had land. So people come up and they start building tiny houses for homeless people. And what does DHA do? They call the police. They come in, they arrest people, they break down houses and move along. This is what's wrong with this world. You start treating people that, and they're people. That's the end of it. They're fucking people. Treat them like people. But unfortunately, being homeless has a huge stigmata. And a lot of times they are treated as less than people. I wouldn't even say second-class citizens. I would say third or fourth-class citizens. And that's unfair. It's unjust. And I'll be keeping my eye on this Denver situation, and we'll probably do an update on that one once I get more information. Go ahead and take a look if you like, freespeechtv.org. Okay, so moving on, I'll move on to the next one. I'm sure you guys have seen quite a bit about this the last few days. And this is from a reputable, quote-unquote, source, CNBC. All right, that's a big top 3 freaking propaganda machine, right? So this may or may not be one of those things that you care to pay attention to or give a shit about or believe. On one hand, it kind of makes me nauseous just thinking about it. Anyway, it starts off, study finds human DNA in some hot dog brands. And this is supposedly by Sarah Whitten, yada yada, from CNBC. And starts out, do you really know what's in a hot dog? Well, Clear Food, a company that genetically tests food products, did, and the results can make you a little queasy. Held by Sasan Amini, a genomicist, and Mahani Gorashi, the former head of marketing of Bina Technologies, Clear Food is a branch of Clear Labs, a company that analyzes food at a molecular level to determine the quality of brands. The company tested 345 hot dog and sausage samples from 75 brands to see if the product matched what is described on the package. And guess what? It turns out that 14.4% of the samples were ... not as advertised. Well, no shit. Clear Food found that the hot dogs and sausages either included substitutions or had hygienic issues. In several cases, pork had been added to products that did not mention the meat on the labels or ingredients lists. That's horrible. Some of us, I very rarely eat pork, okay? Yeah, I enjoy bacon, hamburger, and, I really don't eat pork in any other form. I just don't. I don't like pork. You know what I'm saying? I don't. I prefer chicken. I prefer turkey. When it comes to white meats, I prefer fish. Pork is just, I just don't like it. I like the bacon. And every once in a while, I used to enjoy a nice loin. You know what I'm saying? A pork loin. Oh, those used to be bomb. Anyways, that's my preference, right? So that kind of offends me. So what if you don't want pork? They're not mentioning it. They're putting it. Say they put in a beef hot dog, but there's pork in there. That's bullshit. And this included the vegetarian sample. So vegetarian means no meat, right? Made only out of vegetables or soy or whatever the hell fucking processed food they decided to put in there and call it a vegetarian version. But they're being putting pork in it. Okay, back to it. Most often pork have been used as a substitution for chicken or turkey, according to Clear Food. Gross. I would rather have chicken or turkey substituted for pork any day, not vice versa. The company noted that all the kosher products were 100% pork-free. Kosher products were tested. All right, kosher. Kosher's doing something. They're living up to some standards that they put down for themselves. All right, kosher. Let's start eating kosher, huh? However, 10% of the vegetarian products tested contain meat. In addition, 67% of the vegetarian samples were recorded as having hygienic issues, which were not described in detail. Can this type of thing please be described in detail? Hygienic issues? I'm more worried about hygienic issues than I am about being pork laden. You understand what I mean? What? Describe that. Anyways, back to the report. Perhaps the most unsettling discovery by Clear Food is that human DNA was found in 2% of all samples, and 66% of vegetarian products. Pump the brakes. Pump the brakes. big issue here that doesn't make sense. Human DNA was found in 2% of all samples. Excuse me. So sorry. And I forgot what I was saying. Okay, so 66% of the vegetarian products were found with human DNA. This sounds like a science thing that I'm not going to claim to understand at all. Maybe DNA is closely related. Doubtful, right? Seriously doubtful. That 60%, 66% of the vegetarian products were found with DNA, human DNA in them. Right? So unless we're carry the same DNA as a lot of vegetarian products, something fishy's going on there. The report did not disclose which brands have been found to contain the DNA. Did not elaborate on what that might entail. You know why they don't do shit like that is because there are laws in place, and which will be thoroughly enacted and enforced by the new what's that trade deal they just came up with? Fucking TTP. Where if you have something to say against the company, say cigarettes or maybe these meat products, hey, I think you're a liar, and you know what, you made me sick, and I demand that you pay me. You know what happens when you do that, or you stop them from selling them goods? You get sued. You get sued for stopping the corporation from making money, for slandering, and trying to hold them liable to certain standards that we think are already in place. Lying about things that are on labels and giving you safe things to consume. This is going to be a big deal here pretty soon. With a lot of corporations are going to be suing the shit out of a lot of countries if they decide that they don't want to go along with this bullshit anymore. Keep an eye out on that. That's not a prediction. That's going to happen. It just is. It's already happening. Back to it. The company also determined that several brands had exaggerated the amount of protein in the products by as much as 2.5 times. So you may think you were getting 25 grams of protein, but you were only getting 10. So that's a fucking lie. That's a straight up mislabeling. There is rules. I don't know. I did take consumerism law in high school, marketing and shit like that, and where I thought I wanted to be a lawyer at one time. So when you first start taking classes, and especially in high school, you start at the very basic level, and there's something called bait and switch. And this is a real deal. And I don't know if it's probably not applicable anymore because things have changed so dramatically where, you're not allowed to tell somebody this is what you're getting. And when they show up to get it, you switch it to something else. That's called bait and switch. And the cops do that shit all the time. They lure you in with a false promise, and then they make you, or, you have no other choice but to take this. Bullshit, right? That law will be struck down here with the new trade deals pretty soon. Good luck, okay? But that is bullshit. I think we all believe that. I mean, we can all get behind that. You know what I'm saying? When you put something on a freaking label, we want to believe it. We want to believe it. We want to believe that the FDA or whoever's in charge is actually making sure what's put on the label is the truth. We want to know what we're eating or consuming, and we want that to be the truth. What we're reading, we want that to be the truth, right? Continuing. Despite these results, Clear Food revealed that most brands scored well on their tests. What? Butterball was determined to be the best overall hot dog and sausage maker when it came to label and product matches, while Oscar Mayer ranked highest for hot dogs overall. The company is using Kickstarter to fund 10 more reports similar to the debut study on hot dogs. The group hopes to attain 100,000 in pledges. Currently, the project has been funded by 205 people and has raised more than $74,000. Let's not create something that should already be in place. What do we need a Kickstarter for? The FDA is supposed to be doing this. And I'm not saying this is a bad idea for Clear Labs or Clear Foods to create their own watchdog company, because you know what? You need to. The government is obviously lying to us. The bills were put in place supposedly to protect us are lying to us. They're bullshitting us. And they turn a blind eye when they're greased by corporations. And that's just all there is to it. And, a little sidebar. The WHO, you guys probably heard this. The World Health Organization links bacon, hot dogs, and sausages to cancer. Damn it! I'm a meat eater. I'm not gonna lie. I freaking enjoy a steak. I love chorizo on a Saturday or Sunday morning with a beer. You know what I'm saying? Chorizo and eggs. I love fucking cheeseburgers. You know what I mean? Like I don't know what I'm gonna do here, but there's a bright side to this. You just got to figure out how you can implement it in your life. Processed meat. I like that word. Processed meat. Okay? Processed meat is anything you buy at a grocery store. Anything that you buy prepackaged. Anything that you don't process yourself. It's already processed. Okay, the problem with that is they put a lot of shit. Oh, commercial. Excuse me 1 second. Goddamn commercials. Processed meat's the problem. They put too much in here to make it last. A lot of times, I hate to ruin your appetite, but if you're buying a steak at the grocery store, you know what? That beef may have been slaughtered well over a month ago, weeks ago. Who knows? They inject dyes. They put preservatives in it to make it look fresh, to make it look good. They put the dye in there to make it red. When in all truth is that the blood's been drained and that meat is brown, dead, and decayed. These are things they do. And, the more that I awaken myself into a different realm of being and how to see things and how to, treat the world and how to treat myself, I do see processed foods as a huge problem. It's huge. And the biggest problem with them is that it is overabundantly available compared to non-processed items. You can go to your, look, whatever they're showing on the screen right now, a lot of bacon. You can go to your store and get 80 pounds of bacon right now. And unless you live on a farm, you ain't touching that. You know what I'm saying? You cannot harvest 80 pounds of meat unless you sit in, you put in for your hunting license, you go slay a wild hog or a deer or a bear, or, you know what I mean? You go hunt and fish, whatever, to bring that meat in yourself and you process it yourself. Otherwise, you're going to the goddamn grocery store and you're buying this shit. Not just you, me, everybody. This is the way they want it. You're buying this shit and you're putting it into your body. Let me read some of the article, though. Like I said, processed meat can cause cancer. Red meat probably can, from the World Health Organization. Eating processed meat can lead to bowel cancer in humans, while red meat is a likely cause of the disease. The World Health Organization experts said on Monday in findings that could sharpen debate over the merits of a meat-based diet. The France-based International Agency for Research on Cancer, part of the WHO, put processed meat such as hot dogs and ham in its Group 1 list, which already includes tobacco, asbestos, diesel fumes, for which there is sufficient evidence of cancer links. Like, dude, it's next to tobacco with asbestos, and diesel fumes. What? Like, what do? Do you argue with that? I mean, I don't think you can actually eat a hot dog and say, yeah, this is awesome. This is really good for me. I love this. I love the way it makes me feel. Like, I like hot dogs. I do. I try to eat the beef hot dogs because like I said, I'm not really into the chicken. Well, I mean, I like the chicken. I like the turkey dogs, I guess. But, they mixed all that shit together. So usually I try to go for all beef, and I enjoy the kosher dogs. Those are tasty. Anyways, I might not be eating another hot dog for a long fucking time, if ever. To continue, for an individual, the risk of developing colorectal bowel cancer because of the consumption of processed meat remains small, but this risk increases with the amount of meat consumed, said Dr. Kurt Strafe of the IARC in a statement. Red meat, under which the IARC includes beef, lamb, and pork, was classified as a probable carcinogen in its Group 2A list that also contains glyphosate. What? Glypho? You know what I'm saying here. That's the word right here. I used to be such a good reader. I don't know what's going on. It must be the chemtrails. Anyways, that word, the active ingredient in many weed killers. What? Why would it be an ingredient in weed killers be found in meat? Because the fucking animals eat this shit. That's it. You put these fucking weed killer shits on your crops, on your corn, you feed it to the cows, the chickens, the motherfucking lambs, and the porks, and all these other things. It ends up in their system. Surprise, that's how the fucking circle of life works, man. The lower classification for red meat reflected limited evidence that it causes cancer. Limited evidence. That means there's some evidence. It's just limited. Evidence is evidence, dude. The IARC found links mainly with bowel cancer, as was the case for processed meat, but also observed associations with pancreatic and prostate cancer. And these are things that I'm not a doctor, so I'm going to speak clearly off of my intuition. The bowel cancer and the prostate and the pancreatic, it's because these things filter what you put in your body, right? And guess why there's so many cancers going on? Because the shit that you're eating, as it becomes shit, literal shit, is killing you because it's shit. It's shit. The shit that they put on the shit that we eat turns into shit, and then when we shit it, some of the shit doesn't come out. Good person to look at that. Who's a huge meat eater? John Wayne. Huge meat eater, cowboy, tough man, man's man. We all know who John Wayne is, right? Supposedly, I don't know, wasn't there. Couldn't tell you. When he died, he had like fucking tons, like pounds and pounds of undigested meat in his system because the body has a tough time breaking down proteins, especially when they're cooked. And that seems weird, right? But when you cook the proteins, it makes it harder to digest. I think my intuition tells me that part of the carcinogenic properties that we digest from eating cooked meat is from the cooking process. When you cook it, there's smoke involved and there's flame, and the properties change. And damn it, that hurts me. That hurts my heart because I love meat. Let me just continue this. The agency, whose findings on meat followed a meeting on health experts in France earlier this month, estimated each 50-gram portion of processed meat eaten daily increases the risk of colorectal cancer by 18%. 18%. That's kind of small. That's almost a quarter, though. So you're taking a 1 in 4 shot that if you're eating more than 50 grams of processed meat, you might get ass cancer. Excuse me, ass cancer, colorectal cancer. Excuse me, I got a little burp situation here. Anyways, the IARC, which was assessing meat for the first time, reviewed some 800 studies, does not compare the level of cancer risk associated with products in a given category, so it does not suggest eating meat is as dangerous as smoking, for example. No, it's definitely not as dangerous as smoking. Just not. Lions eat freaking gazelle every day, and even though they have limited lifespans compared to ours, they look pretty fucking healthy. You know what I mean? They're not out there smoking camels and shit. They're out there eating camels. I know that's not a real thing, but I'm just for the metaphor and the mental image. You know what I mean? To continue. Health policy in some countries already calls for consumers to limit intake of red and processed meat, but the IARC said such advice to consumers was in certain cases focused on heart disease and obesity. Those are the same things. Okay? They're directly related. The preparation of the IARC's report has already prompted vigorous reactions from meat industry groups, which argue meat forms part of a balanced diet and that cancer risk assessments need to be set in the broader context of environmental and lifestyle factors. I had to ask her to step into the loft because she's getting loud again. Like 5 minutes ago, I just sent her away. This is what I'm talking about. I sent her away 5 minutes ago. I'm like, hey, I'm recording. That's why I hear the dead spot. I turn off my mic so I can talk to her. I need you to go sit out there for a few minutes. Anyways, let's return to the report. The IARC, which does not make specific policy recommendations, cited an estimate from the Global Burden of Disease Project, an international consortium of more than 1,000 researchers, that 34,000 cancer deaths per year worldwide are attributable to diets high in processed meat. 34,000 cancer deaths per year. It's not a whole lot. I'm not going to question that, though. Okay, this compares with about 1 million cancer deaths per year globally due to tobacco smoking. That's what I meant by it's not a lot. Okay, 600,000 a year due to alcohol consumption, and more than 200,000 each year due to air pollution. It said. See, the air pollution is higher than the supposed cancer death rates for meat. I'm more worried about the air pollution. I'm still going to eat my beef. I'm going to cut down, though. I think there's a lot of stuff coming out these days about processed foods and, fast food. Don't go get a burger from anywhere, just think about it. I think that's what I'm trying to say. Think about what you're putting in your body when you eat, when you drink, when you smoke, anything, when you breathe. These are all important things to worry about. And I don't want you to freak out every day like, oh shit, you know, I just ate this, or I just fucking somebody just blew a puff of cigarette smoke in my face. Oh fuck. It doesn't work that way. For the body usually naturally balances itself out. For it to be one way or the other, it has to be drastic. Like either there's something wrong with your system or you're doing way too much of something. So seriously, calm the fuck down, balance your diet. Don't be slamming hot dogs all day, every day. You know what I mean? Like switch it up. Eat some fruits and vegetables. Throw in a potato. Throw in some noodles instead. You know what I'm saying? Fucking change it up. And you're probably less likely to get hit with cancer from red meat. Okay. Ranted and rave enough about the hot dogs and red meat shit. Let's go on to my third little article here that I would like to share. You know, this day and age, a lot of things going on, especially with the police. They've been getting a lot of attention, a lot of bad stuff going on for the boys and girls in blue these days. You know, I'm one of the people who say they're not all bad cops. And how do I know this? Because you know what? Unfortunately, through my 35 years of being alive, Olivia, can you please not be so loud? Or I'm going to ask you to leave the room again. Anyways, through my 35 years of living, I've come into contact with the police. I have been to jail. I've done a couple of days here and there. Blah, blah, blah. Anyways, you know my name. You want to look that shit up? Go ahead and find it out yourself. My problem is that there are too many of these individuals who really, really seem to believe that their position, their job, and it's a fucking job. They weren't elected. They didn't inherit this. They weren't given this. They went through an exam. They went through a course. They went through a process of weeding out weak people to receive the job they have, to be a public law enforcement officer. Okay, there's a few things there that I want you to remember. First, it's public. Okay, they're not public. No, they represent a private citizenship, corporations, laws, municipalities, codes, things that were created by people in power. What they do, the law enforcement part, the public law enforcement part, is they enforce the law against the public. Let that sink in. The police officer's job is to enforce the law against the public, not for the public. And it's been a long, you know, and I'm sure I'll probably, if any of my friends see this, and I know I got a couple who are, you know, hardcore, staunch, either police officers themselves or, you know what I'm saying, they have police officers in their family. And it's cool, man. I understand that. Like I said, most police officers are good people and they take their job seriously. And they live by the Constitution, live by the rule, the oath that they took when they came into office, and 99% of the time can be counted on to be an upstanding human being. The problem is whatever percent you want to give it, however you want to break it down. The last couple of years, and yeah, I believe the media has something to do with this, but I believe it's not as bad as you think. What the media is doing, they showcase a lot of shit with the police interactions. Unfortunately, they go a certain path. They love to show the white cop on the black civilian. If you don't like my term black, whatever, man. The black American civilian. You want to say African American? Whatever, man. I don't care. I don't give a shit, okay? Against an American, I would like to say that, but the fact is the propaganda is the white cop usually, or the white police force, the establishment against the black civilian. And we've seen this in the news, the Trayvon thing. That wasn't a police thing, but you know what I mean? That's where it kind of started 2 years ago, the Trayvon Martin. And then it kind of went on to Sam Brown. It kind of, you know, the whole Ferguson thing blew up. The Freddie Gray over there in Baltimore. Like, this shit just keeps going and going every day. Well, here's another little tidbit. Unfortunately, another little piece of media release jargon, and I'm not saying it's bad. It's jargon, like it's bullshit or slander thing. This is just the shit that we get to see. Okay, and that was my preamble into this part. I apologize. This is from Addicting Info. Another one of those sites that are kind of questionable usually, but I have seen this video on many other sites: Google Plus, YouTube, people all over the place are sharing this. This is viral. It came out today. It's going to be all over the place. Okay. After cop threw student across the room, one girl came to her fence and was arrested too. We'll just read some of the preamble here to the report, and we'll show the video. If you haven't seen it anyways, you get a chance to see it. It's only a 15-second video. So, to be fair, we don't know what started this conflict. What the person did before that led to this video being recorded. Quite frankly, I don't give a shit. This is a high school student sitting in a desk, and not complying. Yeah, the person didn't comply. The person did not get out of the chair. Blah blah blah. I'm going to focus on how this person was treated, because there's a certain point when a police officer engages with the public or situation where they have to determine what choice to make, what path to go, and how to resolve this issue, right? Well, in this 15 seconds, you see this officer surpass any type of thinking or conflict resolution, and just automatically goes with brute savageness. How else do you describe it? And I could tell you right now why this certain thing right here pisses me off so much. I have kids, 6 children to be exact. And if one of them went to school someday, and I don't care if they're throwing the worst temper, yeah, they get out of line, right? You discipline your kids. But I don't give a shit. Unless my kid is doing something to endanger someone, if I ever have this type of situation happen to me, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll lose my fucking mind. Because if this was a civilian who put their hands on a child like this, that's child abuse. You know what I'm saying? That's abuse. Whatever, man. Abuse. If this ever happened to my child, I'd be in jail 30 seconds later. I would fucking show up at the police station, ask for this fucking officer to show up, and righteously kick his ass. I don't give a shit. Is that a threat? No, it's not. It's a goddamn promise. I don't give a fuck. These are our kids. And it's about time that you fuck cop be a high school's resource officer has been placed on paid administrative leave from choke slam a young soul. She had pulled out her cell phone during class. Okay. See, she pulled her cell phone out. And it's one of those things we'll have to look into. My computer's acting stupid right now. Before I continue speaking, really things. See? Hating on me right now. Free speech, bitch. Get off my computer. Oh, well, that's annoying. I did this earlier today, too. I had to shut all my shit down. I just want to see if I'm still recording. But it won't even let me close the window. Close the fucking window. Yeah. Holy shit, dude. Following pages, all of them. All my pages are unresponsive. That's a remarkable coincidence. All of my pages are unresponsive. Come on. Excuse me while I try to make sure we're still doing some things here. Wow. Awesome. So is it Google or is my computer being attacked? All right, well, I guess I'll come back. Some bullshit, man. Come on, motherfucker. I don't fucking care. Fuck off my computer, you know what I mean?